It was 2 a.m. when the pounding on my door began, sharp, frantic, like someone trying to wake the dead. I stumbled out of bed, heart racing. My wife Emma had left just 3 hours earlier, claiming her mother was sick and needed help tonight. I didn't question it. Why would I? But when I opened the door, the building's security guard, Mr. Rios, stood there drenched in sweat, breathing like he'd run up all 15 floors. "Ethan, is your wife with you?" His voice cracked on the last word. I frowned. "No. She went to her mom's." "Why?" He swallowed hard, wiped his shaking hands on his uniform, then unlocked his phone with trembling fingers. "Because she just entered the next building," he whispered. "And she wasn't alone." Something tightened in my chest. "Who was she with?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just handed me the phone. A video was already open, building surveillance footage. Grainy but clear enough. At 11:47 p.m., Emma walked into the neighboring tower's lobby. Not sick. Not rushing. Not worried. She was laughing. And she was holding a man's hand. A man I recognized. A man who had shaken my hand just days earlier at a neighborhood barbecue, introducing himself as just a friendly neighbor. My fingertips went numb. Mr. Rios whispered, "There's more. You need to see the elevator footage." But I couldn't press play yet. Because in that frozen frame, her smile, his arm around her waist, I realized something brutal. She hadn't lied to me for one night. She had rehearsed this lie. And whatever was waiting in the rest of that footage was about to change everything I thought I knew about my marriage. My thumb hovered over the screen. The video wasn't long, maybe 40 seconds, but every second felt like it carried a piece of my life I hadn't realized was already slipping away. I finally pressed play. Emma stepped into the elevator with him, her hand still in his. The doors hadn't even closed before she leaned into him. Familiar, comfortable, practiced. He touched her cheek like he'd done it 100 times. I felt something in my stomach drop, heavy and cold. The doors slid shut. "Do you know who he is?" Mr. Rios asked cautiously. I nodded slowly. "Yeah," I said. "He lives on the 17th floor." But that wasn't the whole truth. He wasn't just a neighbor. He was Trevor Miles, the guy who had borrowed my drill last month, who waved every morning, who once joked that he envied how lucky I was to have a wife as caring as Emma. A bitter laugh escaped my throat. Caring. Right. I stared at the paused image of them in the elevator, her head resting on his shoulder, his hand tracing her waist with a familiarity no neighbor should have. "Do you want me to report this?" Mr. Rios asked, voice trembling. I wasn't sure if I should. "No," I said quickly. "Not yet." Because I needed to know one thing. How long had this been happening? I walked back inside my apartment, the silence suddenly suffocating, and opened our bedroom closet. Her overnight bag was gone. Her favorite perfume too. Not something you grab for a sick mother. My hands tightened around the closet door as another truth hit me like a punch. She hadn't left in a hurry. She'd packed for the night. As I stood there, phone buzzing in my palm, a new notification appeared on the surveillance feed. 2:11 a.m., Unit 1703, door opened. Trevor's unit. She hadn't gone to help her mother. She was upstairs with him. And I wasn't going to wait until morning to find out why. I took the elevator up in absolute silence. Not anger. Not panic. Just a strange, chilling focus. The kind you don't choose. The kind that chooses you when something inside you finally snaps. The elevator dinged softly at the 17th floor. Trevor's hallway was quiet, dimly lit, the kind of stillness that makes every sound feel louder than it should. I could hear muffled laughter from behind his door. Her laughter. A version of it I hadn't heard in months. Not tired. Not strained. Not pretending. Real. My throat tightened. I stepped closer. Emma's voice floated through the door, low and warm. "Do you think he suspects anything?" Pause. Trevor chuckled. "He works nights, Em. He barely sees you. That's the point." I froze. That's the point. I'd been working double shifts for months. Saving for our future. Fixing the life she said she wanted. And the entire time, they had been using my absence as the foundation for whatever this was. My hand closed into a fist. Inside she continued, softer now. "I just don't want him showing up unexpectedly." Trevor replied, smug and sure of himself. "He won't. And even if he did, what's he gonna do?" He laughed again. Something in me, something small but important, cracked. I didn't kick the door. I didn't shout. I didn't break down. I stepped back. Because truth doesn't need noise. It needs evidence. And if tonight had taught me anything, it was that I didn't fully understand the depth of their betrayal yet. Not even close. I walked to the stairwell, pulled out my phone and texted Mr. Rios. Save all footage from 10 p.m. to now. No deletions. His reply came instantly. Already done. Good. This wasn't just a bad night. It was the start of something much bigger. As I descended the stairs, a sickening realization hit me. Emma hadn't drifted away from our marriage. She had walked out of it with intention. And whatever they were building together, it wasn't just an affair. It was a plan. I didn't go home right away. I sat in my car in the dark, engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel hard enough to make my knuckles ache. My mind replayed their voices, her soft, afraid, guilty, his cocky, amused, certain. But what struck me wasn't the cheating. It was the planning. The deliberate timing. The way she'd used my work schedule like the blueprint of a double life. I opened her location history on my phone, something she used to share with me voluntarily. Not anymore. The timeline stunned me. 11 nights. All within the last month. All between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. All at Trevor's building. Patterns don't lie. She had carved out a second life inside the hours I spent saving strangers. And I hadn't noticed because I trusted her. At 3:14 a.m., my phone buzzed with a new message. Emma. At Mom's. Her fever just broke. Don't worry, try to sleep. Love you. I stared at the screen, rereading it 3 times. She was lying to me while lying next to him. She wasn't protecting her mother. She was protecting her story. A story she thought I had no reason to question. But now I had every reason. I drove home slowly, deliberately. When I walked into our bedroom, her side of the bed was perfectly made. The pillow smooth. The blanket untouched. Because she wasn't supposed to be here. She was exactly where she planned to be. At 3:37 a.m., as I stood in the doorway staring at the space she used to sleep beside me, something clicked. If she'd lied this easily, this confidently, then the cheating wasn't the whole truth. It was the surface. There was something underneath. A motive. A purpose. A reason she had chosen him and not someone random. I went to her drawer, searching for anything that didn't belong. And in the back, beneath her sweaters, I found it. A second phone. Hidden. Charged. Unlocked. The first message on the screen made my skin crawl. Trevor. We stick to the plan. Don't lose your nerve now. This wasn't an affair. This was strategy. The hidden phone was full. Full of things that didn't belong in any marriage. Messages. Voice notes. Photos. Plans. Not romantic plans. Not secret dates. Operational plans. And they all began months ago. I sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling, feeling my heartbeat slow into something cold and steady. The kind of heartbeat you get when you stop denying the truth. Message after message revealed pieces I hadn't even known were missing. Trevor. Your husband's schedule is too perfect. Night shifts give us the window. Emma. He trusts me. He never checks anything. Trevor. Good. Trust makes this easy. My chest tightened. But then I found the thread that changed everything, labeled simply. Phase 2. Her voice notes were there, shaky but purposeful. He increased his hours again. That doubles the payout timeline. We have to be careful. One mistake and he'll start asking questions. Once the transfer clears, we're done. Everything is set. Transfer? Payout? Done. My mind raced. I dug deeper. Their documents were there too. Bank screenshots, beneficiary forms, drafts of something she clearly hadn't intended me to ever see. And then I found it. A list. My list. Birth certificate. Marriage license. Financial statements. Insurance policy. Signature samples. Every document required to access and redirect my accounts. All organized. All photographed. All prepared. She wasn't planning to leave me. She was planning to replace me. To erase me from my own financial life. Trevor wasn't her secret lover. He was her accomplice. And whatever phase 2 was, they were dangerously close to completing it. My hands shook, but not from fear. From clarity. Before tonight, I thought I'd lost my marriage. But reading those messages, I realized something far worse. I hadn't just lost a wife. I'd been living next to a threat. A calculated, organized, rehearsed threat. And if I didn't act, I knew exactly who would. By sunrise, I had gone through every message, every file, every recording on that second phone. The story was no longer about infidelity. It was about intent. And the evidence painted a picture far more sinister than anything I had imagined. Trevor and Emma weren't simply cheating. They were building a sequence. A timeline. A removal strategy. At 6:12 a.m., I found the message that made my hands go still. Trevor. Phase 2 starts next week. He signs the papers, then we move fast. Emma. He won't notice. He never reads the fine print. What papers? What fine print? I searched our filing cabinet, flipping through documents she insisted on handling, to save me stress. Tax forms, bank authorizations, insurance updates. And then I found the folder. My signature. Her handwriting. A notarized form transferring secondary control of my accounts to her. Except I never signed it. Not really. She had copied my signature from an old lease agreement, nearly perfect. Enough to pass a visual check. Enough to ruin me. My pulse turned to ice. I grabbed my phone and called the one person who would tell me the truth. The bank manager who had known my family for years. He answered quickly. Ethan? You okay? It's early. I swallowed. I need to know if any requests have been made on my accounts. Pause. Then his voice changed, cautious, concerned. I was actually going to call you. Your wife submitted a transfer request yesterday. Significant amount. But the system flagged it, something felt off. Did it go through? No. But she'll probably try again. My stomach twisted. She wasn't waiting for the perfect emotional moment. She was waiting for the perfect financial one. And she was close. Dangerously close. I ended the call and stared at the bedroom doorway, the doorway she had walked through 1,000 times carrying love, lies, or both. I had one advantage left. She still believed I knew nothing. And that meant I had time. But not much. Tonight they would meet again. Tonight they would finalize phase 2. And tonight, I wouldn't stay silent in the dark. I would be the one watching them. I didn't call her. I didn't confront her. I didn't even touch the bed she slept in. I spent the entire day preparing. Not with anger. With precision. I backed up every message, every file, every document to 3 encrypted drives. I forwarded evidence to an attorney I trusted. I left copies in a safe deposit box under my brother's name. By late afternoon, the betrayal wasn't just emotional anymore. It was prosecutable. At 9:16 p.m., Emma texted me. Mom's fever is up again. I might stay the night. I stared at the message feeling nothing. Not hurt. Not shock. Just confirmation. She wasn't even trying to be clever anymore. At 10:04 p.m., the hidden phone she didn't know I'd found lit up. Trevor. Phase 2 tonight. Don't back out. He's predictable. I'm ready. Door will be unlocked. Unlocked. My home. My life. My marriage. Left open like a stage set for a crime. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't leaving the house tonight. I turned off every light, sat in the living room corner and waited. At 11:39 p.m., I heard the quiet click of the back door. Footsteps. Soft. Careful. Familiar. Trevor. He moved through the hallway like he had rehearsed it, because he had. He stopped at my office door, pulled out a folder and began placing documents inside. My documents. He was stealing the last pieces they needed to finish the transfer. Then I heard her. Emma stepped inside behind him, whispering, "Is it all there?" He nodded. "Once we file this tomorrow, he loses legal access. After that, we're untouchable." Untouchable. She wasn't whispering out of fear. She was whispering out of excitement. I leaned forward just enough for my voice to reach them. Interesting plan. They froze. Trevor spun around first. Emma turned slower, like her brain needed time to accept the reality in front of her. The lights flicked on, automatic motion sensors triggered by my movement. And the look on her face. It wasn't guilt. It was panic. Pure, instant, undeniable panic. Because she finally understood. I hadn't been blindsided. I had been watching, documenting, preparing. And now, the one part of their plan they never accounted for was standing 3 feet away, staring straight through them. Trevor's face drained of color first. Emma followed, her breath catching like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. Neither moved. Neither spoke. They just stared at me, the man they had planned to erase, now standing between them and the future they'd built out of lies. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I didn't touch them. I simply lifted the second phone, the one she thought was hidden, and dropped it onto the table between us. Phase 2, I said quietly. Interesting name for ending someone's life on paper. Emma stepped forward, reaching out. Ethan, Don't, I cut in. You practiced your lines with him. Don't try improvising now. Trevor shifted, trying to inch toward the back door. The wrong move. Because at that moment 2 figures stepped inside. My attorney. And a plainclothes detective. Both already fully briefed. Emma's knees buckled. Trevor swore under his breath. The detective opened a folder. We've reviewed everything you sent, Mr. Hayes. Identity fraud, forged signatures, conspiracy to commit financial theft, unauthorized access to personal accounts. Quite a list. Emma's voice cracked. Ethan, please, I didn't mean. I looked at her, really looked, and saw a stranger. A stranger wearing my wife's face. You didn't mean to get caught, I said. That's all. The detective handcuffed Trevor first. Emma was next. She didn't cry. Not for love. Not for guilt. Only for the collapse of a life she planned to build on my ruin. As they escorted them out, she looked back at me, searching for the man who used to forgive her smallest mistakes. But that man was gone. I wasn't vengeful. I wasn't triumphant. I was free. Completely, finally free. By morning, charges were filed. Her access was revoked. My accounts were secured. My name was mine again. And as I sat in the quiet dawn of my living room, I realized something I hadn't felt in months. They hadn't stolen it. I had reclaimed it,